I took a night shift at a storage facility. Unit 313 was not supposed to exist. I never believed in haunted places. I know that's how every story like this starts, but it's true. I was the kind of person who laughed at ghost videos, skipped paranormal podcasts, and thought creepy experiences were usually just tired people hearing pipes in old walls. That changed 3 months ago, when I took a night shift job at a private storage facility outside of town. The place was called North Hollow Storage. It sat behind a closed-down gas station and a stretch of woods nobody really used anymore. During the day, it looked boring. Rows of orange metal doors, security cameras, a little office with bad coffee and a dusty computer. At night, it felt like the whole world forgot it existed. I needed the money badly. Rent was overdue. My car was one warning light away from dying. And the job paid surprisingly well for someone whose main responsibility was watch cameras and make rounds. The manager, a nervous-looking man named Carl, hired me after a 10-minute interview. He gave me a ring of keys, a flashlight, and a laminated map of the property. Then he said something strange. "Don't go past row C after 2 in the morning." I laughed because I thought he was joking. He didn't laugh back. "There's construction back there," he said quickly. "Old wiring. Liability issue." I looked at the map. Rows A, B, C, D, E, and F were clearly marked. So why not just lock the gates to that section? I asked. Carl stared at me for a second too long. "It is locked." That should have been my first warning. My first week was normal, boring, even. I sat in the office from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. watching grainy camera feeds. Every 2 hours, I walked the rows with my flashlight, checking padlocks and making sure nobody had broken in. The place made noises, obviously. Metal expanding in the cold, wind dragging leaves across the pavement, rats in the dumpsters, but nothing paranormal. Then, on my 7th night, I noticed something on camera 6. Camera 6 showed row C. At 2:13 a.m., a light turned on at the far end of the row. Not a flashlight, not a car headlight, a yellow bulb, like the kind hanging from the ceiling inside a storage unit. I leaned toward the monitor. All the units in row C were closed. Every door was down, but light was leaking from underneath one of them. I grabbed the radio and called Carl, even though he wasn't on site. He answered on the 5th ring, sounding half asleep. "What?" "There's a light on in one of the units in row C." Silence. "What time is it?" he asked. I checked the clock. 2:14. His voice changed immediately. "Do not go back there. Maybe someone broke in." "No one broke in." "How do you know?" "Just stay in the office." Then he hung up. I stared at the phone for a while, annoyed more than scared. I had been hired to guard the place, but apparently I wasn't allowed to guard it. So I stayed in the office for about 10 minutes. Then something moved on camera 6. A person stepped out from between 2 units. They were standing at the far end of row C, facing the camera. I couldn't see their face. The image was too grainy, but I could see one thing clearly. They were barefoot. No shoes, no socks, just pale feet on the pavement. They raised one hand slowly and pointed toward the office. Every screen went black. The power didn't go out. The office lights stayed on. The computer hummed. The little fan by my feet kept spinning. Only the security cameras died. Then someone knocked on the office door. 3 soft taps. I didn't move. The office had a glass front, but the blinds were pulled down. There was a gap near the bottom where I could see the concrete outside. 2 bare feet stood on the other side of the door. I grabbed the flashlight so hard my fingers hurt. Another 3 taps. Then a voice spoke. It was a woman. "Can you open unit 313 for me?" I looked at the laminated map on the desk. There was no unit 313. The units only went up to 280. I didn't answer. The feet shifted slightly. "Please," the woman said. "It's cold in there." I don't know how long I sat frozen. Maybe 30 seconds. Maybe 5 minutes. Then the feet turned and walked away. The cameras came back on. Camera 6 showed row C, empty. No light under any door. I didn't leave the office until sunrise. When Carl arrived, I told him everything. He listened without interrupting, which somehow made it worse. He didn't accuse me of sleeping. He didn't ask if I had been drinking. He just rubbed his face and said, "You heard the unit number. 313, I said. Carl closed his eyes. Then he walked to the filing cabinet, unlocked the bottom drawer, and pulled out a folder. Inside was an old newspaper clipping. The date was from 1998. The headline read, "Local woman missing after storage facility fire." The article said a woman named Marianne Cole had rented a unit at North Hollow Storage. One winter night, a fire broke out in the rear section of the property. Several units were destroyed before firefighters arrived. Marianne was never found. The weird part was, according to the article, the fire destroyed units 300 through 320. I looked at Carl. "You told me there was no unit 313. There isn't any more," he said. Then he took the clipping away from me. I should have quit right there. I know that now, but I needed the money, and Carl offered me double pay to stay. He gave me one new rule. If she knocks again, don't speak to her. Don't look outside. Don't open anything. So I stayed. For 2 more weeks, nothing happened. Then, on a rainy Thursday night, I found a key on my desk. It was old and brass, not like the other keys on my ring. A little paper tag was tied to it with dirty string. On the tag, someone had written, 313. I called Carl. No answer. I locked the office door, put the key in the drawer, and tried to ignore it. At 2:13 a.m., the cameras went black. 3 taps came at the door. I sat completely still. "Can you open unit 313 for me?" the woman asked. I didn't answer. This time, she didn't leave. The tapping continued. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. For almost an hour. At 3:07, it stopped. Then the office phone rang. The caller ID showed the facility's main number. That was impossible. I was inside the facility office. I let it ring. It stopped. Then my cell phone buzzed. Unknown number. I don't know why I answered. Maybe because after an hour of tapping, my nerves were already broken. I put the phone to my ear. At first, there was only static. Then the woman whispered, "You have the key now." I threw the phone across the room. The screen cracked against the wall, and from somewhere outside, very far away, I heard a storage unit door roll open. I grabbed the flashlight and stood up. I know it was stupid. I know every person listening to this is thinking they would have stayed inside. But there's a difference between fear and panic. Fear makes you hide. Panic makes you do things just to make the nightmare stop. I opened the office door. Rain blew in sideways. The whole facility was dark, except for one yellow light at the far end of row C. I stepped outside. The air smelled like wet metal and smoke. Not fresh smoke. Old smoke. I walked past unit 240, then 250, then 260. The numbers should have stopped at 280, but they didn't. At the end of row C, where there was supposed to be a chain link fence, stood another row of units I had never seen before. Old units. Burned units. Their orange paint was blackened. The pavement was cracked. The air around them shimmered like heat above a road. The numbers started at 300. My flashlight flickered. I wanted to turn back, but when I looked behind me, the office was gone. Not dark. Gone. There was only more row behind me. More doors. More numbers. I kept walking. Then I stopped. Unit 313 was open. A yellow bulb swung inside. Though there was no wind, the unit was packed with furniture covered in plastic sheets. Boxes were stacked to the ceiling. In the middle of the concrete floor sat a small wooden chair. On the chair was my cracked cell phone. Its screen lit up. Unknown number calling. I backed away. The phone answered itself. Carl's voice came through the speaker, distorted and far away. "I told you not to go back there." The metal door of unit 313 slammed shut behind me. I spun around. I was inside. I don't remember crossing the threshold. The smell of smoke became unbearable. My eyes burned. The plastic sheets and the furniture began to melt, dripping onto the floor like wax. Then I heard crying. A woman, somewhere in the unit, sobbing in the dark behind the boxes. "Please," she whispered. "I can't find the door." I turned toward the sound. That was when I saw the hand. It reached out from behind a stack of boxes. Blackened fingers, long nails, skin split from heat. I screamed and kicked backward, hitting the metal door. The brass key was in my pocket. I didn't remember taking it. My hands shook so badly I dropped it twice before I got it into the lock. The woman behind the boxes stopped crying. Then she said, in a voice directly beside my ear, "You opened it from the wrong side." The door rolled up. I fell backward onto wet pavement. Morning light hit my face. Carl was standing over me. So were two police officers. According to them, Carl found me lying unconscious near row C at 6:15 a.m. There were burns on my palms. My shoes were missing, and the office security footage from that night showed me leaving the building at 2:13 a.m., walking barefoot toward row C, holding the brass key in my hand. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what the cameras showed at 3:07. Me coming back, standing outside the office door, knocking 3 times, and asking myself to open Unit 313. I quit that morning. Carl didn't try to stop me. Before I left, he said something I still think about every night. "She doesn't want out," he said. "She wants someone else to know where the door is." I moved to towns over, changed my number, sold my car. For a while, I thought it was over. Then last night, I woke up at exactly 2:13 a.m. My apartment was freezing. There was a brass key on my nightstand, and from inside my closet, someone knocked 3 times. A woman's voice whispered, "Can you open it for me?" I haven't opened the closet. I'm writing this while the sun is coming up. The knocking stopped an hour ago, but there's light coming from under the door now. Yellow light. And I can smell smoke.